The massive doors of the Galactic Council chamber slid open with a soft hiss. Ambassador Chen Wei stepped inside, her black diplomatic uniform crisp and formal. The chamber was enormous, with curved walls that seemed to stretch forever upward. Strange lights floated in the air, casting colorful shadows across the room. Chen had dreamed of this moment for years. Humanity was finally being considered for membership in the Galactic Council. After decades of sending messages into space and receiving only silence, first contact had happened 3 years ago. Now, Earth might have a voice among the stars. The alien delegates sat in a circle around the chamber floor. Chen recognized them from the briefings. The Zephyrians looked like living crystals, their bodies catching and reflecting light in beautiful patterns. They were tall and angular, with faces that seemed carved from gemstones. Their leader, Crystal Arc, HFY, sat perfectly still, his blue crystal skin gleaming. The Kalari were different entirely. They looked like a collection of insects that had somehow learned to work together as one being. Hundreds of small creatures formed the shape of a humanoid figure, constantly moving and shifting. The individual bugs would separate and rejoin, creating new patterns across their collective body. Cluster Node 7749 spoke for them, though the voice seemed to come from everywhere at once. The Etherians were the strangest of all. They had no solid bodies, existing as pure energy that took roughly human shape. Luminos, their observer, glowed with soft golden light that pulsed like a heartbeat. When they moved, trails of light followed them through the air. Chen walked to the center of the chamber and placed her hands behind her back. She had practiced this presentation hundreds of times. Everything had to be perfect. "Honored delegates," she began, her voice echoing in the vast space. "I am Ambassador Chen Wei, representing the United Earth government. We come before you today, seeking membership in the Galactic Council." HFY tilted his crystal head slightly. When he spoke, his voice sounded like wind chimes in a gentle breeze. "Yes, we have reviewed your application. Please, show us what humanity has accomplished." Chen activated her holographic projector. Images filled the air above her head, showing Earth's greatest achievements in space. The International Space Station appeared first, a collection of white modules orbiting the blue planet. Then came the lunar mining facilities, small domes scattered across the moon's gray surface. Finally, the Mars Research Station materialized, a single habitat sitting alone on the red planet's dusty landscape. "We have successfully established permanent human presence beyond Earth," Chen explained. "Our space stations provide platforms for scientific research and resource extraction. We have developed faster-than-light travel, allowing us to explore nearby star systems." The alien delegates watched in silence. Chen could not read their expressions, but something felt wrong. The chamber was too quiet. Cluster Node 7749 was the first to respond. The insect collective shifted and moved, and hundreds of tiny voices spoke as one. "Your achievements are modest. How many humans live in space?" Chen straightened her shoulders. "Approximately 50,000 across all our facilities." A sound came from the Etherian observer. It took Chen a moment to realize that Luminos was laughing. The energy being's form flickered and pulsed with what could only be amusement. 50,000, Luminos repeated, their voice like music made of light. "In the entire universe beyond your homeworld. How quaint." HFY stood up, his crystal body reflecting the chamber's lights. "Ambassador Chen, your species shows promise, but you must understand the scale of galactic civilization. The Zephyrian Empire alone maintains colonies housing billions of beings across thousands of worlds. Our smallest mining operation employs more workers than your entire space population." Chen felt heat rising in her cheeks but kept her expression neutral. "We understand that we are newcomers to galactic society. That is why we seek to learn from more advanced civilizations. Advanced. Cluster node 7749 repeated, the word buzzing through hundreds of insect voices. Your technology is functional but primitive. Your ships require massive fuel supplies for simple journeys. Your habitats are tiny and inefficient. Your industrial capacity is barely sufficient for one world. The presentation continued, but Chen could feel the mood in the chamber. The aliens were not impressed. They asked polite questions about human technology, but their tone suggested they were humoring a child who had built a toy rocket. "Your faster-than-light drive," HFY said, examining the technical specifications. "It requires enormous amounts of exotic matter and can only achieve speeds we consider suitable for local travel. Most civilizations abandoned such crude propulsion centuries ago." Luminos drifted closer, their energy form casting dancing shadows. "Your life support systems are remarkably wasteful. We calculate that your Mars facility consumes 10 times the resources needed for the same population." Chen answered each question professionally, providing data and explanations. Inside, however, she felt increasingly frustrated. Yes, human technology had limitations. Yes, their space presence was small, but they had achieved interstellar travel in less than a century since first splitting the atom. Surely that counted for something. The questioning went on for hours. The aliens examined every aspect of human space capabilities, picking apart each achievement with casual expertise. They spoke about humanity's efforts the way adults might discuss a child's crayon drawings. Cute, but ultimately meaningless. Finally, HFY called for the council to deliberate. The 3 alien species moved to separate areas of the chamber, communicating in ways Chen could not understand. The Zephyrians' crystal bodies flashed with colored light. The Kalari collective separated into multiple smaller groups that swirled around each other. The Etherians simply stood motionless, though their glow intensified. After 30 minutes, they returned to their seats. HFY spoke for all of them. "The Galactic Council has reached a decision regarding humanity's application. We grant you provisional membership with Class 7 developing species status." Chen tried to hide her disappointment. She had hoped for full membership, but at least this was acceptance. "What does Class 7 status entail?" she asked. "You will be permitted to observe council proceedings and participate in basic scientific exchanges," Cluster Node 7749 explained. "You may establish small trading posts in designated areas. However, you cannot vote on council matters or access advanced technologies until you demonstrate significant development." Luminos added, "We recommend that humanity focus on improving conditions on your homeworld before attempting further space expansion. Your resources would be better spent on agriculture and basic infrastructure than on these ambitious but premature space projects." Chen nodded politely, though the words stung. "We appreciate the Council's guidance and accept these terms." HFY's crystal face might have shown sympathy, though it was hard to tell. "Do not be discouraged, Ambassador. Many species require centuries to achieve meaningful space civilization. Humans show potential, but you are simply too young a species to compete with established galactic powers." The session ended with formal ceremonies and the signing of various documents. Chen performed her duties with professional grace, shaking hands with beings who had no hands and exchanging diplomatic gifts with creatures who existed as pure energy. As she prepared to leave, HFY approached her privately. "A word of advice, Ambassador. The galaxy can be dangerous for unprepared species. There are those who would take advantage of human naivety. Keep your ambitions modest and your expansion slow. It is better to grow safely than to attract unwanted attention." Chen thanked him and left the chamber. As the great doors closed behind her, she allowed herself a small smile. The aliens thought they understood humanity. They had made their judgments based on what they had been shown. They had no idea how wrong they were. Back on her transport ship, Chen activated a secure communication channel. Control, this is Ambassador Chen. The performance was successful. They bought it completely. A voice crackled back through the encrypted connection. Excellent work. Return to New Geneva for debriefing. And Chen? Tell them we'll need to upgrade our primitive technology displays. Some of those questions got uncomfortably close to the truth. Chen looked out at the stars through her ship's viewport. Somewhere out there, hidden in the darkness, lay the real evidence of human achievement. The aliens would learn about it eventually, but not yet. Not until humanity was ready. 3 months after the council meeting, the alien delegation ship Convergence approached Earth's orbital space. The massive vessel dwarfed anything in human space, stretching nearly 2 kilometers from bow to stern. Its hull was a work of art, combining Zephyrian crystal technology, Kalari biomechanical systems, and Etherian energy conduits. Dr. Sarah Martinez floated in the observation deck of the International Space Station, watching the alien ship approach through the viewport. As humanity's chief liaison for the inspection tour, she had spent weeks preparing for this visit. Every detail had been planned, every system checked and double-checked. Incoming transmission from the Convergence, announced Lieutenant Torres from the communications station. Put it through, Sarah replied, straightening her uniform. The holographic display activated, showing the 3 alien delegates she had met during Chen's presentation. Crystallarch Vexhai spoke first, his crystal form reflecting the lights of his ship's bridge. Dr. Martinez, we are pleased to begin our inspection of human space facilities. We trust you will provide us with a comprehensive tour of your accomplishments. The word accomplishments carried a subtle emphasis that made Sarah's jaw tighten slightly. Of course, Crystallarch, we're honored by your visit and eager to show you our operations. The delegation shuttled over to the ISS within the hour. Sarah met them at the docking port, watching as the 3 beings entered the station's main hub. The Kalari, cluster node 7749, immediately began examining the walls and systems, individual insects detaching from the collective to investigate. Every surface. Fascinating, the cluster said, their 100 voices speaking in unison. You still use mechanical joints and physical connections. Most civilizations abandoned such crude methods millennia ago. Luminos, the Etherian observer, drifted through the station's corridors like a golden ghost. Their energy form passed through equipment and bulkheads without affecting them, though they paused occasionally to examine something more closely. Your power distribution is remarkably inefficient, Luminos observed, their musical voice filled with what sounded like gentle pity. These cables and junction boxes create so many points of failure. Why not use direct energy transmission? Sarah led them through the station's various modules, explaining each system's function. The aliens listened politely, but their comments grew increasingly patronizing. How many humans can this facility support? Vexhai asked, running a crystal finger along a support beam. The ISS has a permanent crew of 12, with capacity for up to 20 during crew rotations, Sarah replied. The 3 aliens exchanged glances, or what passed for glances among their species. Cluster Node 7749's insect collective rippled with what might have been amusement. 20 beings, the Kalari repeated. Our smallest research outpost accommodates 10,000. This is more like a camping expedition than a space station. The tour continued to the lunar facilities via shuttle. Sarah had requested their newest transport for the journey, but even that felt inadequate compared to the aliens' advanced craft. The human shuttle used chemical propulsion and took hours to reach the moon, while the alien observer craft could have made the trip in minutes. On Luna Base Alpha, the delegation walked through the mining complex and research laboratories. The base housed 43 humans in a series of connected domes, each pressurized and maintained by systems that required constant attention. Your excavation techniques are quite primitive, Vexhai noted, watching human workers operate mechanical, drilling equipment. Molecular disintegrators would be far more efficient. And your life support systems require so much maintenance, Luminos added, observing a technician replacing air recycling filters. Do your people not find it exhausting to constantly repair their environment? Sarah bit back her response. Yes, the systems required maintenance. Yes, human technology was not as advanced as what these aliens possessed, but humans were making it work with what they had. The final stop was Mars Research Station, humanity's proudest achievement in deep space. The dome complex housed 200 scientists and support staff conducting research on terraforming, astrobiology, and resource extraction. The aliens' reaction was the same as before. Polite interest followed by gentle criticism of every system. They observed, "Your atmospheric processors are working very hard to achieve very little," Cluster Node 7749 observed, watching the massive machines that slowly converted carbon dioxide into breathable air. The energy expenditure is enormous for such minimal results. Vex-High examined the geological surveys displayed in the main lab. You've been studying this planet for how long? 3 years? And you've mapped less than 1% of the surface. Our survey drones could complete this work in a matter of days. Dr. James Park, the station commander, tried to explain the challenges of operating so far from Earth. Every supply run takes months to plan and execute. We have to be completely self-sufficient for long periods. Yes, we noticed, Luminos said, their energy form pulsing with what might have been sympathy. Your supply chains are remarkably fragile. One ship failure and these people could be stranded indefinitely. Throughout the tour, Sarah noticed the aliens taking detailed scans of everything they saw. They examined the composition of hull materials, analyzed the efficiency of life support systems, and cataloged every piece of technology. Their interest seemed academic, rather than threatening, like scientists studying the tools of an ancient civilization. On the flight back to Earth, Vex-High provided what he clearly intended as helpful advice. Dr. Martinez, your species shows admirable determination. However, we feel compelled to offer some guidance. Your space infrastructure is overstretched. You're attempting to maintain facilities that strain your technological and economic capabilities. What do you suggest? Sarah asked, keeping her voice neutral. Focus on your home world, Cluster Node 7749 replied. Improve your planetary agriculture, develop more efficient manufacturing, stabilize your climate. These are more appropriate goals for a species at your development level. Luminos nodded, their golden form flickering. Space colonization requires resources and technologies that you simply do not possess. Better to wait until you've achieved greater mastery of your own world. But how can we develop those technologies without experience in space? Sarah asked. Vex-High's crystal face tilted slightly. There are other paths to advancement. The Kalari achieved faster-than-light travel before they ever left their home system. The Etherians transcended physical matter while still confined to a single planet. Each species finds its own way. The implication was clear. Humanity was trying to run before learning to walk. Back aboard the ISS, Sarah watched the alien ship depart through the observation deck viewport. The convergence accelerated away from Earth with casual ease, reaching speeds that would tear apart any human vessel. Well, asked Lieutenant Torres, joining her at the window. They think we're children playing with toys, Sarah replied. Brave children, maybe, but still children. Torres nodded slowly. Did they buy it? Sarah allowed herself a small smile. Completely. They think this is the best we can do. She activated her personal communicator and sent a coded message. Within hours, it would reach its destination in the outer solar system, where humanity's real achievements waited in the darkness. The aliens had seen exactly what they were supposed to see. A struggling species making heroic, but ultimately futile, efforts to establish a foothold in space. They had no idea that every system they criticized, every limitation they identified, had been deliberately chosen for this performance. The real human technology, the systems that would have impressed even these advanced aliens, remained safely hidden, for now. "Think they'll recommend us for upgrade to Class 6 status?" Torres asked with a grin. Sarah laughed. "More likely they'll suggest we focus on farming and stay out of space for another few centuries." Through the viewport, Earth turned slowly beneath them, blue and white and beautiful. It looked exactly like the homeworld of a young species taking its first tentative steps among the stars. The aliens would file their report, confident in their assessment of human capabilities. They would recommend that the Galactic Council maintain humanity's current status, perhaps with additional restrictions to prevent them from overextending themselves. It was exactly the reaction humanity had hoped for. 2 weeks after the inspection tour, something began to trouble Cluster Node 7749. The Kalari Collective sat in their quarters aboard the Convergence, thousands of individual insects processing data with the efficiency of a biological supercomputer. Each bug contributed its own small piece of analysis, and together they formed conclusions that no single mind could reach. The numbers did not add up. "Show me the human resource allocation data again," 7749 requested. The information appeared on their bioluminescent display, projected by specialized insects that could manipulate light with their wing patterns. According to human records, Earth exported approximately 50,000 tons of rare Earth elements monthly to their space facilities. The mining operations on Luna and the asteroid belt produced roughly 75,000 tons. Simple addition suggested that human space facilities received 125,000 tons of raw materials each month, but the Kalari had observed those facilities directly. The International Space Station, Luna Base Alpha, and Mars Research Station could not possibly use more than 15,000 tons monthly, even accounting for inefficient human technology. Where was the rest going? 49 separated into 3 smaller clusters, each analyzing different aspects of the data. The first cluster examined human shipping manifests. The second reviewed energy consumption patterns. The third calculated the actual material requirements for observed human operations. The shipping manifests showed regular supply runs to coordinates in the outer solar system, but these were listed as waste disposal and equipment testing. The energy consumption data revealed that human fusion reactors were producing far more power than their visible facilities required. The material calculations confirmed that observed human operations accounted for less than 20% of their resource throughput. Across the ship, Crystallark Vexhai was experiencing his own concerns. The Zephyrian leader meditated in his crystal chamber, his body resonating with harmonic frequencies that enhanced his analytical capabilities. Data flowed through his crystalline matrix like light through a prism, creating patterns that revealed hidden truths. The gravitational anomalies bothered him most. During their approach to Earth, the Convergence's sensors had detected subtle variations in space-time near the outer planets. The humans dismissed these as measurement errors caused by solar wind interference, but Vexahai had analyzed space phenomena for 3 centuries. Solar wind did not create organized gravitational patterns. He had requested permission to investigate these anomalies, but human officials politely declined. Budget constraints, they said, limited ship availability, scheduling conflicts with other operations. What operations? The humans had shown them everything, 3 small facilities with minimal crews and primitive technology. What possible operations could create scheduling conflicts? Vexhai's crystal body chimed softly as new data patterns emerged. Human communication traffic showed regular encrypted transmissions to coordinates that matched no known facilities. When questioned, human officials explained these as routine telemetry from deep space probes, but the transmission patterns were wrong for automated probes. They showed the irregular rhythms of conscious communication, messages and responses, discussions and debates. Someone was talking back. In the ship's energy core chamber, Luminos faced their own puzzle. The Etherean observer existed partially, outside normal spacetime, allowing them to perceive energy flows that solid beings could not detect. Around Earth and its inner colonies, energy patterns made sense. But beyond Neptune, strange currents flowed through space. These were not natural phenomena. The energy signatures were too organized, too purposeful. They resembled the patterns created by advanced technology, but not any technology the humans had demonstrated. The frequencies suggested matter conversion, spatial manipulation, and quantum field generation at levels far beyond human capabilities. When Luminos had requested to investigate these energy sources, human officials had been apologetic but firm. Dangerous radiation zones, they explained. Our ships can't safely approach those areas. Yet the radiation readings from human sensors showed nothing unusual. Either their instruments were remarkably poor, or they were deliberately providing false information. The three alien delegates met in the ship's central conference chamber to discuss their findings. The room was a marvel of cooperative technology, with crystal formations providing data display, insect colonies forming living computational networks, and energy fields allowing direct mind-to-mind communication. The inconsistencies are undeniable. Cluster Node 7749 began, their collective voice resonating through the chamber. Human resource allocation does not match their observed capabilities. They are consuming materials and energy at rates that suggest operations far larger than what we witnessed. Vex-High's crystal form pulsed with different colored lights as he organized his thoughts. The gravitational anomalies in the outer system are artificial in origin. Combined with the unexplained communication traffic, this suggests the presence of undisclosed human facilities. Luminos flowed around the chamber's perimeter, their energy form leaving trails of golden light. The energy signatures I detected indicate technology more advanced than anything humans demonstrated. Either they are concealing their true capabilities, or they have assistance from an unknown source. The three beings considered the implications. If humans were hiding technology, why would they do so? If they had undisclosed facilities, what purpose did they serve? If they possessed capabilities beyond what they had shown, what were their true intentions? Perhaps we should investigate directly, Vex-High suggested. A discreet survey of the outer system would resolve these questions. The humans specifically requested that we avoid those areas, 7749 pointed out. They claimed it was for our safety, but their explanations were inconsistent with the data. Luminos pulsed with what might have been concern. If humans are concealing advanced technology, we must consider why. Fear? Deception? Preparation for conflict? The meeting continued for hours, but they reached no definitive conclusions. The evidence suggested something significant was hidden in the outer solar system, but the nature of that something remained mysterious. Over the following days, each delegate pursued their own investigations. Vex-High analyzed long-range sensor data, looking for any trace of the gravitational anomalies. 7749 processed communication intercepts, trying to decode the encrypted transmissions. Luminos extended their consciousness toward the outer system, probing for energy signatures. What they found only deepened the mystery. Vex-High detected gravitational shadows that suggested massive structures, but the objects casting those shadows remained invisible to conventional sensors. 7749 identified communication protocols in the encrypted transmissions that were more sophisticated than anything humans had demonstrated. Luminos felt energy flows that indicated not one, but multiple large installations beyond Neptune. We must report this to the Galactic Council, Vex-High finally concluded during their next meeting. Report what? 7749 asked. Suspicions? Inconsistencies? We have no proof of deception, only questions about human resource allocation. The Council expects us to provide a thorough assessment of human capabilities, Luminos reminded them. If humans possess undisclosed technology, this could affect their development status, but proving human deception would require evidence they did not possess. The aliens faced a dilemma. Their observations suggested that humanity was hiding something significant, but they could not determine what or why. Perhaps, Vexhai said slowly, we should request an extended survey mission, a more comprehensive examination of human space operations. The humans would never agree to that, 7749 replied. They were barely comfortable with our current inspection. Then we conduct the survey without their permission, Luminos suggested. If they are concealing nothing, they cannot object to us verifying their claims. It was a reasonable proposal, but it felt wrong to all three delegates. The humans had been cooperative and transparent during the official tour. Conducting unauthorized surveillance seemed like a violation of diplomatic protocol, yet the inconsistencies remained. Somewhere in the outer solar system, something was consuming vast amounts of human resources and producing energy signatures that defied explanation. Until they understood what humanity was hiding, they could not complete their assessment. Three aliens agreed to continue monitoring human activities while preparing a preliminary report for the Galactic Council. They would recommend maintaining humanity's current status while conducting additional observations. They had no idea that their every communication was being intercepted, decoded, and analyzed by human intelligence systems far more sophisticated than anything they had seen. In hidden facilities throughout the solar system, human analysts tracked the aliens' growing suspicions and prepared contingency plans. The performance had been successful, but it would not fool the aliens forever. Soon, humanity would need to decide, reveal the truth, or take steps to ensure their secrets remained hidden. The game was becoming more dangerous, and the stakes continued to rise. Captain Sev-Oth had piloted Zephyrian vessels for over 2 centuries, but he had never experienced a navigation failure quite like this one. The crystal harmony shuddered around him as its quantum positioning system flickered between contradictory readings. One moment they were near Jupiter, the next somewhere beyond Pluto, then back to the asteroid belt. "Engineering report," he commanded, his crystal voice ringing through the ship's bridge. The Crystal Harmony was a massive freighter, designed to carry rare minerals between Zephyrian worlds. Its hull was formed from living crystal that could repair itself and adapt to different environments. The quantum matrix is experiencing cascade. "Failures, Captain," replied Navigator Kelvor from her station. "Something is interfering with our dimensional anchors. The ship cannot determine our position relative to local space-time." Sev-Oth's crystal body flashed with concern. Quantum navigation systems were among the most reliable technologies in the galaxy. For one to fail so completely suggested either catastrophic damage or external interference. "Can we restore manual control?" "Attempting now, sir. But without position reference, we're essentially flying blind." Through the bridge's crystal viewing ports, Sev-Oth could see the distant glow of Sol, the human star. They had been carrying a cargo of rare adamantine crystals through the outer edge of the human solar system when the problems began. It should have been a routine transit, but now they were lost somewhere in the dark. "Captain," called sensor operator Vesetai, "I'm detecting a massive gravitational anomaly. Something huge is out there." "Define huge," Sev-Oth ordered, moving, to examine the sensor displays. The readings were incredible. The gravitational signature suggested an object at least 20 kilometers across, but their optical sensors showed nothing. Empty space stretched in all directions, broken only by the distant light of stars. "It has to be a sensor error," Kelvor said. Nothing that large could remain invisible, but as the Crystal Harmony drifted closer to the anomaly, new readings began to appear. Energy signatures that matched no known natural phenomena. Electromagnetic patterns that suggested massive industrial operations. And finally, as they passed, through what seemed like empty space, a shimmer in the darkness revealed the truth. The cloak fell away like a curtain being drawn back. Before them lay the most magnificent space habitat any of them had ever seen. It stretched across 25 kilometers of space, a vast cylinder that rotated slowly to generate artificial gravity. The outer hull was smooth and seamless, made from materials that seemed to absorb and redirect light. Massive observation. Windows dotted the surface, glowing with warm yellow light that spoke of millions of lives within. By the crystal throne, Vestai whispered. "What is that thing?" Sevoth stared at the impossible sight. This was not the crude, primitive technology the humans had shown the Galactic Council. This was engineering that rivaled the greatest achievements of the Zephyrian Empire. The habitat's design was revolutionary. Multiple rotating sections providing different gravity levels, enormous hydroponic bays visible through transparent sections, and manufacturing complexes that stretched for kilometers. "Captain," Kelvor said urgently, "I'm reading massive power generation. The energy output is comparable to a small star." As they watched, ships began to emerge from docking bays along the habitat's length. But these were not the clumsy chemical rockets the humans had demonstrated. These vessels moved with impossible grace, seeming to slip between dimensions as they traveled. They appeared solid one moment, translucent the next, as if they existed partially outside normal space. "Those ships," Vestai said in amazement. "They're using dimensional fold technology, but that's impossible. Humans don't have fold drives." "Apparently they do," Sevoth replied grimly. One of the human ships approached the Crystal Harmony. Its hull was sleek and organic-looking, covered in patterns that seemed to shift and flow like living tissue. As it drew nearer, a communication signal reached the Zephyrian vessel. "Zephyrian freighter, this is New Geneva Traffic Control. You appear to be experiencing navigation difficulties. Do you require assistance?" The voice was human, but speaking perfect Zephyrian. The linguistic systems required to achieve such translation were more advanced than anything the Galactic Council possessed. Sevoth activated his communication system. "This is Captain Sevoth of the Crystal Harmony. We suffered quantum navigation, failure, and drifted into this area. We were not aware of any human installations here." There was a pause before the human controller responded. "Please stand by, Captain. We're dispatching a repair vessel to assist with your navigation systems." Within minutes, another human ship approached. This one was clearly designed for technical work, bristling with repair equipment and sensor arrays. But again, the technology was far beyond anything humans had revealed to the galaxy. "Captain Sevoth, this is Commander Jang aboard the repair vessel Hermes. We're going to send over a technical team to examine your navigation system. Is this acceptable?" Sevoth looked around his bridge at his stunned crew. They were witnessing something that should not exist. According to every assessment by the Galactic Council, humans lacked the technology to build installations like this. Yet here it was, operating with casual efficiency in the outer reaches of their own solar system. "Permission granted, Commander Jang." The human technical team that boarded the Crystal Harmony was another shock. Their equipment was compact and sophisticated, utilizing principles that Sevoth's engineers did not recognize. Within 30 minutes, they had identified and repaired the navigation failure. "Your quantum matrix was caught in a dimensional resonance field," explained the lead human technician, a woman named Dr. Reyes. "It happens sometimes when ships pass through our defensive perimeter. We've recalibrated your systems to compensate." "Defensive perimeter?" Sevoth asked. Dr. Reyes smiled. "New Geneva maintains several layers of protection, stealth fields, dimensional barriers, and automated defense systems. Your ship triggered our early warning network, which can interfere with non-compatible navigation systems, automated defense systems, dimensional barriers. These were technologies that even the most advanced galactic civilizations struggled to implement reliably." "Dr. Reyes," Sevoth said carefully, "forgive my confusion, but this installation was not mentioned during the recent Galactic Council inspection of human facilities." The human woman's expression became guarded. "New Geneva is a classified research facility. The Council was shown our civilian operations." Classified research into what? Advanced propulsion systems, dimensional physics, quantum field manipulation, the kind of work that requires privacy. As the repair work concluded, Sevoth found himself escorted through portions of the human facility. What he saw challenged everything he thought he knew about human capabilities. The habitat's interior was a marvel of engineering, with vast, open spaces, advanced manufacturing facilities, and residential areas that housed millions of people. The humans who lived here were not the struggling pioneers the galaxy had been shown. They moved with confidence through their advanced environment, operating technology that put most galactic civilizations to shame. Children played in parks that hung in artificial gravity, while scientists conducted experiments using equipment that seemed to manipulate reality itself. "How long has this facility existed?" Sevoth asked Dr. Reyes as they stood in an observation lounge overlooking the habitat's central core. "New Geneva has been operational for 15 years, she replied. "We began construction shortly after first contact with galactic civilization." 15 years? Sevoth's crystal body rang with surprise. "But your technology, it would take centuries to develop such capabilities." Dr. Reyes looked out at the bustling activity below them. "Humans are remarkably adaptable, Captain. When we learned about galactic civilization, we realized we needed to advance quickly. We've been working very hard." The implication was staggering. In the 15 years since first contact, humans had not only developed technology equal to the galaxy's most advanced civilizations, they had apparently surpassed them in several areas. The dimensional fold drives, the stealth systems, the quantum field manipulators. These were breakthrough technologies that could revolutionize galactic society. "Why keep this secret?" Sevoth asked. "Why present primitive facilities to the Council while maintaining installations like this?" Dr. Reyes was quiet for a long moment. "Captain, how do you think the galaxy would react if they knew that a primitive species had achieved technological parity in just 15 years? How would they respond to learning that humans had developed technologies they don't possess?" Sevoth understood immediately. Fear. The galaxy would react with fear. Young species were expected to develop slowly, to remain inferior for centuries while established civilizations maintained their dominance. A species that advanced too quickly would be seen as a threat. "You're protecting yourselves," he realized. "We're being cautious," Dr. Reyes corrected. "The galaxy is not always kind to species that upset the established order. We've chosen to develop quietly while presenting a non-threatening face to galactic civilization." As the Crystal Harmony prepared to depart, its navigation systems fully repaired, Sevoth found himself facing an impossible choice. Protocol. The emergency session aboard the Convergence was unlike any meeting the alien delegates had ever held. Captain Sevoth's report had shattered their understanding of human capabilities so completely that they struggled to process the implications. Crystal Arc. Vexahai stood at the center of the conference chamber, his crystal body flickering with agitated patterns of light. Around him, the holographic displays showed images from the Crystal Harmony's encounter, the massive space habitat, the advanced human ships, the technologies that should not exist. "A 25-kilometer habitat," he said, his voice ringing with disbelief. "Housing millions of humans, operating for 15 years, and we knew nothing about it." Cluster Node 7749 had separated into dozens of smaller groups, each processing different aspects of the revelation. The insect collective's analysis was devastatingly thorough, and their conclusions were disturbing. "The resource allocation discrepancies now make sense," they reported. "The materials we thought were being wasted were actually feeding this hidden facility. The energy signatures, the gravitational anomalies, the encrypted communications, all evidence of a massive deception." Luminos flowed around the chamber's perimeter, their energy form pulsing with what could only be described as shock. The technologies Captain Sevoth observed represent breakthrough achievements in multiple fields. Dimensional fold drives that function more efficiently than our own, stealth systems that completely fooled our sensors, quantum field manipulation that borders on space-time engineering. The implications were staggering. For 15 years, while the galaxy dismissed humanity as primitive newcomers, humans had been secretly developing technologies that surpassed established galactic civilizations. The crude facilities they had shown the Council were deliberate misdirection, a performance designed to hide their true capabilities. Why? Vexhai asked. Why conceive such an elaborate deception? The answer came from an unexpected source. A new holographic display activated, showing Ambassador Chen Wei. But this was not a recorded message. The human diplomat was communicating in real time from somewhere in the outer solar system. Because we studied your history before making contact, Chen said, her voice calm and professional, we learned what happens to species that advance too quickly. The Veltar Empire, eliminated for developing weapons technology that threatened galactic stability. The Morphic Collective, placed under technological quarantine for achieving consciousness transfer. The Quantum Builders, whose dimensional research was deemed too dangerous and whose civilization was forcibly regressed. The alien delegates exchanged uncomfortable glances. Those incidents were part of galactic history, but they were not discussed in polite society. Each had been presented as necessary actions to maintain peace and stability. You were protecting yourselves, Vexhai realized. We were being prudent, Chen corrected. Humanity observed galactic civilization for decades before first contact. We saw that young species were expected to remain inferior, to develop slowly, under the guidance of established powers. We also saw what happened to those who failed to meet those expectations. New images appeared in the display, technical specifications and facility layouts that made the aliens' analytical systems overload. New Geneva was not humanity's only hidden achievement. 6 other installations existed throughout the solar system, each specializing in different aspects of advanced technology. Titan Station focuses on energy research, Chen explained. They've developed fusion systems that operate at 97% efficiency. Europa Base specializes in quantum computing. Their processors can solve problems that would take your best systems centuries. The Asteroid Belt Industrial Complex manufactures materials with properties that don't exist in nature. Cluster Node 7749's collective intelligence processed the information at superhuman speed. These achievements represent technological advancement equivalent to centuries of normal development. How did you accomplish this so quickly? Chen's expression became almost amused. You underestimate human adaptability. When we learned about galactic technology, we didn't try to copy it. We developed our own approaches, parallel evolution, but accelerated by necessity and motivated by survival. The conference chamber fell silent as the aliens absorbed this revelation. Humanity had not simply matched galactic technology, they had innovated beyond it. Their dimensional fold drives were more efficient than anything the galaxy possessed. Their stealth systems were undetectable by standard sensors. Their manufacturing capabilities allowed them to create materials that existed only in theoretical models. The question now, Chen continued, is what you plan to do with this information. It was Luminos who responded first. The Galactic Council must be informed. This level of technological deception represents a fundamental breach of first contact protocols. Does it? Chen asked. We never lied about our capabilities. We simply chose which capabilities to demonstrate. Every system we showed you was genuinely human technology. It just wasn't our most advanced technology. Vexhai's crystal form chimed with legal analysis frequencies. From a strict interpretation of galactic law, Chen was correct. Humanity had never made false claims about their technology. They had simply allowed the galaxy to draw its own conclusions based on limited evidence. But the implications, Cluster Node 7749 protested. If humanity possesses these capabilities, your classification as a Class 7 developing species is completely inaccurate. Then perhaps it's time to discuss reclassification, Chen replied. The question is whether the galaxy is ready for that conversation. The challenge was unmistakable. Humanity was no longer asking for acceptance into galactic civilization. They were announcing their arrival as equals, or potentially superiors, in technological capability. "What do you want?" Vexoth asked directly. Chen's image smiled. "Partnership, real partnership. Not the condescending guidance offered to developing species. We want to share our innovations and learn from yours. We want to contribute to galactic civilization as equals. And if the Council refuses? Then we'll continue developing independently. The galaxy is large enough for multiple civilizations to coexist, even if they choose not to cooperate." The threat was subtle but clear. Humanity was no longer dependent on galactic approval. They had achieved technological independence and could pursue their own path regardless of Council decisions. Vex High considered their options. They could report humanity's deception and recommend punitive action, but what form could such action take? The humans clearly possessed defensive capabilities that might rival or exceed those of established galactic powers. Attempts at technological, quarantine, or forced regression could result in conflict that no one wanted. Alternatively, they could recommend humanity's elevation to full Council membership. But this would require admitting that their assessment of human capabilities had been completely wrong. It would also mean acknowledging that a species could advance from primitive to advanced status in just 15 years. There is a third option, Luminos suggested. A gradual revelation. Humanity could slowly demonstrate their true capabilities, allowing the galaxy to adjust to their advancement over time. Chen shook her head. "We've spent 15 years hiding our achievements. We're tired of pretending to be less than we are. Besides, the discovery of New Geneva makes gradual revelation impossible. The secret is out." She was right. Captain Sevoth's report would reach other Zephyrian authorities within days. From there, news of humanity's hidden technology would spread throughout galactic civilization. The careful deception that had protected humanity for 15 years was ending. The galaxy will fear you, Vex High warned. Species that advance too quickly are seen as unstable, potentially dangerous. "Then they'll have to adapt," Chen replied, "just as we adapted when we learned about galactic civilization. Change is uncomfortable, but it's also inevitable." The meeting continued for hours, but the fundamental situation was clear. Humanity had revealed themselves as a technological power equal to any in the galaxy. The carefully maintained fiction of human primitiveness was ending, replaced by a new reality that would reshape galactic politics. As the alien delegates prepared their reports for the Galactic Council, each struggled with the implications of what they had learned. The universe had become a more complex place, with a young species that had achieved in decades what others required centuries to accomplish. "One final question," Vex High said as the conference ended. "Why reveal the truth now? You could have maintained the deception longer." Chen's expression became thoughtful. "Because deception has costs. We've spent 15 years pretending to be something we're not, hiding our achievements, limiting our potential. Our scientists want to share their discoveries. Our engineers want to collaborate with galactic colleagues. Our people want to take their place among the stars without pretending to be less than they are." The transmission ended, leaving the three alien delegates alone with their thoughts. Somewhere in the darkness of the outer solar system, millions of humans continued their work in facilities that rivaled the greatest achievements of galactic civilization. The primitive species they had condescended to just months before had revealed themselves as equals. The galaxy would never be the same.